Hello, I'm going to talk about sports. And I know it's kind of weird, I'm not editing or showing you stuff or whatever, but I'm going to describe something. And you can take it however you want, I don't care. It's just a video I decided to make. Anyway, I'm going to talk about sports a little bit. So that might get a little controversial, I don't know. But whatever, some people are stronger, some people are weaker. Men are usually better at it. Not always. When it comes to the physical sports, when it comes to the sports that generally need a lot of physical activity, like wrestling or football or soccer or stuff like that. But yeah, the comparison. Let's start off with football. Football has NFL, that's the most popular it's basically like just a more hardcore version of rugby, but with a American attitude. That's basically what it is. It's basically the same sport, but just NFL is slightly more rougher. That's about it. That's why they have all that padding, is because in rugby you can get hurt, yes, but in the NFL they're so easily can get hurt because they're idiots with each other that they have to wear all this baby protection because people in the NFL are not known to be the safest guys around when it comes to physical activity on the field. Um, I mean, rugby, yeah, it does. I've seen it, but it's not as severe as NFL. It's not to say that it's any worse or any better. It's just it's slightly more extreme than it needs to be, than it would for a sport like that. But if that wasn't the case, yeah, it would basically just be American rugby. Eh. But yeah, and then there's an even extremer version of the NFL, the XFL, or Extreme Football League. That's even more extreme than the NFL. So basically, extreme rugby on steroids. This is basically what it is. Like NFL, extreme rugby, on steroids, XFL. But they're not as popular because they're not the actual NFL, but they're close enough. They're like the second or third league in that sport that is very popular. But yeah, I don't think there's a WNFL. But if there is, either I just made it because I made it up, maybe. I don't know if that exists, but I feel like I made that up. But if that does exist, I had no idea you existed until now. So, until the uploading of this video. So there's that, I guess. I'll do more research on that when I'm done with this video. My bad. But yeah, then there's the NBA. NBA, it's like the second national sport in the United States or whatever. But NBA, pretty big. You got you had people like Michael Jordan. You have LeBron James. So there's that, and he's like, I don't know, LeBron James is from Ohio, I know that. But yeah, it's kind of a random sport. It's kind of the things that make like soccer look hard. So yeah, it's more of a safer bet, but it still requires a lot of physical activity. So because of this, and the fact that there was MJ in the NBA, he's a part of the history. If it wasn't for him, he literally like the NBA literally would not be as popular as it is. Maybe it would have been, I don't know, but as I see it, yeah, the NBA just wouldn't be popular. Basketball wouldn't be as huge as it is in the 2020s or 2024 as I'm releasing this in. But yeah, he got so popular that no one has been better than him before, and no one has been better than him since. LeBron James is close, but not even there. You know, like he can get there, but he's not close. He can get there, but he doesn't have the, like, he's not the terminology. Like, he was so good at doing it that he literally became a term for to describe a person or a thing that's so good at what they're doing that they're the best at it. You know, like if you said, I don't know, this guy's the best at chess, he would be the MJ of chess, or Michael Jackson. No, not Michael Jackson. Michael Jordan. Michael Jackson is a singer. Michael Jordan is a basketball player. But yeah, MJ is the MJ of MJ. Yeah, that's kind of confusing. Then there's Mary James. So, there's that. There's that MJ as well. That's kind of funny. That's funny. Anyway, back on to topic. Yeah, basically, he is the ultimate, like, you are the best reference, you know? So if somebody is, like, either at their peak or they're just the best at something, you could say that they were the Michael Jordan at it, you know? And then there's the WNBA. I don't know a single player from the WNBA. I cannot name. There could be the most famous WNBA star right where I live right now, and I would have no fucking clue. I'm not telling you this because I'm using poor sense of words or because I'm sexist, but literally because you just have no, like, LeBron James or a star that's, like, so popular that that version of the sport is either considered the dominant version or just at least enough to be recognized. But you don't have that. I'm not kidding you. I don't know, like, maybe one day they will, but seriously, they just don't have the it person, you know? Every sport has at least one it person, such as WWE. Like, they might have several it persons, but the instant it person, or like that thing they do that got so popular and now it's the ultimate reference to that thing, that sport or show or whatever. WWE is an example. That's technically a sport. Well, it's a wrestling sport, but still. Nature Boy was a good one. You know, the hoo-ah or whatever he did. I don't know. I watched a documentary about it. And the funny thing about it is, like, for about 1972 to about, like, I want to say, like, about 1991 or so, for every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, or 366 depending if it's a leap year or not, he drank 10 beers and 5 mixed drinks daily. Holy shit. And I thought I had a drinking problem. I used to be an alcoholic. I had that problem, but dang. Well, anyway, yeah, he was the it guy for a long time. Rest in peace to his son, 2013 or whatever. That was sad as well. I did see it on the news back then, but I vaguely remember it until just recently when I watched the 2017 documentary about it. Well, anyway, but yeah, and I guess the girlfriend of his son is now a female WWE star or whatever. So there's that. I don't know too much about that side. All I know is The Rock, sort of, John Cena, couple other guys maybe, and since I grew up in the 80s, you know, you had Nature Boy, you had Hulk Hogan, stuff like that. So that's the era of wrestling I grew up with, and yeah, it's the one that I would find close to home. I mean, same thing with the 90s, but not as much as like the 80s or the 70s when I, you know, was in my childhood. And I grew up in the 80s because I turned 18 in the 80s. So, there's that. Anyway. But yeah, and then you had soccer. So you got Messi, Ronaldo, couple new guys maybe. I don't know too much about those players, and obviously I don't speak those languages, so I have no idea what they would be saying. But I heard they're really, really popular, and they're like the Michael Jordan of their sport, or whatever. The whole the bang shebang or whatever, and I guess they might retire within the next couple of years or something. I don't know. Um, I mean, they're as good as each other. I mean, even though uh, Messi was around a couple of years before Ronaldo was in his prime, it's still like before he was like in the sport, sort of. It's still pretty much the same because it was the 2000s, you know. The 2000s had that football, soccer, basketball vibe somewhat, but mostly just like football and soccer, but then there was baseball. Um I don't know too many baseball players. Um there's that sport. And then there's tennis. And tennis, when I tell you this right now, tennis is like the only sport where I would see the female version being more popular than the male. It just makes sense because they have that one lady, I forgot what her name was. Apparently she's a practicing Jehovah's Witness, but I don't necessarily believe that, but it looks to be true. I don't know if that's true. Because I once was myself, but that was like in the early 90s before I split it off into my former career. But now I pretty much got nothing to do. But anyway, back onto topic. Yeah, it just makes sense for that to be the more popular version because even though, yes, it requires physical activity, I just don't see male testosterone in that. Like, I don't, like, it's not that kind of sport where I would think, oh yeah, this is the kind of sport where I would see men playing in it. You know what I mean? But it's not terrible or anything. The men's side is pretty good. It's just like the women's side in other sports. It's not as popular. And then a lot of these women, they'll complain that, oh, we ain't getting enough money. But then they get paid like $10 million to be in some fucking advertisement for a Super Bowl or some shit. And then act like, oh, it's all our faults because, oh, we didn't see your women's cup or whatever the fuck. Yeah, and then there's cricket. There's sort of a league going on, but it's not like huge unless you live in Texas, then that's a different story. But yeah, it's starting to catch on. I don't know about soccer. Soccer can't it's a big deal, but it's not a huge deal in the US. Like there's a fan base for it because there's of course, a fan base for pretty much everything. But in most places, it doesn't matter if it's not even in your home country. There is probably a fan base for your favorite movie, TV show, sport out there. There's probably whatever. But yeah, um, I wouldn't say that it's worse, but female sports are not as big because uh they don't have males in them. I'm not saying that you need to put like transgender women into the sports or whatnot. I'm just saying like either legalize the steroids or get an it person and you'll get going. Like if you have that thing person, like they're just so popular because they're literally a reference. Like, oh, when people think of this and that era, like this sport and that era, they think of this person because they were the it or that person. Like everybody wants an it person when it comes to a certain era, especially nowadays. Like we need it badly. So that way we can focus all on one person instead of like 15 different fucking people, you know? Anyways, um, that's all I gotta say for now. Bye.